A video reveals a shocking new angle of a hotel brawl in Florida. The video, released by the Fort Lauderdale Police Department, shows officers yelling and pushing a black hotel employee before arresting him, even though that employee, Raymond Rashal, was the one to call the police in the first place. Previously released surveillance footage of the incident at a Best Western shows 28-year-old Rashal working at the lobby desk when a man charges past the front desk barrier towards him. Rashal punches the man, Jason Rabe, multiple times before putting him in a headlock and holds him down while 911 was called. According to the incident report from the police, Rashal said the man refused to leave the hotel. Rashal told CBS's Miami affiliate that he canceled Rabe's stay because Rabe, who is white, was making racial slurs towards him. We reached out to Rashal for comment, but have not heard back. In the incident report obtained by NBC News, when police responded to the scene, Rashal was hostile and refused to back up. The officer reporting he pushed Rashal back before Rashal, quote, placed his hands on my upper torso and pushed me. It does not appear Rashal pushed the officer from the footage reviewed by NBC News.
And you didn't help back up.
Rashal was taken into custody and charged with disorderly conduct and resisting an officer with violence. The charges were later dropped. The incident report also states the guest, Jason Rabe of New York, was, quote, obviously drunk, uneasy on his feet, and slurring his words, but calm and tried to explain that Rashal had canceled his reservation. Surveillance video shows police escorting Rabe out of the hotel. The incident report saying he was cited for trespassing before getting a courtesy ride to a friend's house, according to the report.
How is it that the clerk got arrested, but the subject in this whole thing gets to have a ride home? And those are legitimate questions.
On a phone call, Rabe told us what started the incident was, quote, just a lack of customer service, and he was very rude. So that led to some other stuff, adding that he's, quote, literally the most non-racist person. The videos of the incident circulating and sparking outrage online, with people accusing police of racial bias against Rashal. In a statement, the Fort Lauderdale Police Department said it's conducting a review of the incident.
All right, Issa joins us now from the studio. And just to remind our viewers, how did this whole thing actually start?
We don't actually know, Tom. So the incident report, police say that there were no independent witnesses who could corroborate how the physical altercation that we watched play out in the video actually began. Both parties say that the other person started it, right? Police today told us that they couldn't give us more information on that internal investigation that they're conducting or on the officers involved.
The guest, it says in the police report, appeared drunk. And is there any evidence that that guest also used racial slurs?
The incident report, just to clarify, said that he was obviously drunk.
Obviously
That's
drunk, okay.
how police described it. At this point, we don't have that evidence, and it wasn't mentioned in the incident report either.
Will there be an independent investigation? Because when you look at the video and the body cam, there's some stuff that obviously doesn't add up.
There are people who are very upset online calling for that. The law enforcement expert that I spoke to also said that that is warranted in this case, right? An investigation that's independent outside of just that investigation that the police department is doing internally. Remember, Tom, this happened back in January, and these videos are just now circulating in the last week, causing all this outrage. Now is when we're talking about it. So in these cases, when they draw so much national attention, that's when law enforcement experts like the one that I talked to really say, okay, maybe there should be an investigation that should be done outside of the police.
At home. And those are legitimate questions.
On a phone.
All right, people. Y'all saw the video. Y'all saw what's going on. You already know what it is. We're going to give the assessment. It's your boy Joe, law enforcement analyst. Look, we're going to give it unbiased. We break it down. We're going to tell you whether the officer's actions was consistent with policy and procedures or he just messed up. Now, this one is real easy because we got video, right? Now, if you look at the video was not consistent with what the officer's report was. First, the officer says that the individual approached him and pushed him. The video clearly shows, now I'm the officer, I come into your face and then push you to tell you to get out my face. It's one of the, as my brother would say, tricks of the trade when policing. I don't like what I'm seeing. I don't really have a lot, so I'm going to start creating. I'm starting to create a charge. So I'm going to try to provoke a charge. He walks into the guy's face and then pushes him and says, get out my face. any rational person is going to take offense to anybody walking in your face and pushing them. Even though the guy really held his own. He really didn't attack the officer. He didn't do anything. Here it is. We have an officer, right? We have a guy, a clerk. He sees someone who's being real abusive, yelling racial slurs. He cancels the guy's reservations. The guy comes behind the counter. The clerk pretty much defended himself. Somebody's running at you, yelling and screaming. The court's already said you have a right to defend yourself under those circumstances, right? So you got the guy. The guy got lumped up a little bit. Notified police. Police get there. Then all of a sudden now the attention is on the clerk. What is the problem? They said that there was no independent witnesses. So you got one person saying he did it. It's supposed to have been an investigation done. The officers, once they were separated, then you start interviewing people, start trying to build some form of evidence to support the complaint. But that didn't happen. It was easy. I mean, they had cameras. He could have easily said, can I see the cameras? Can we go back and look? What they do is they had all the attention on the clerk, which I don't even understand why the attention was on the clerk like that. Like, you're a professional officer. Your job is to investigate. So when you see people say, look, this is a racial incident, I can see that argument. I can see why. You're the cop, you go there, the guy who called, the black guy, the clerk who's working, you start getting in his face, you push him, and you create an incident. That absolutely makes no sense in law enforcement. That was one of the stupidest responses I've seen law enforcement do. That's why the judge, everything just got dismissed. It got thrown out. You know, this guy's going to get a nice little payday. It's sad, like, the only recourse of bad policing seems to be a payday. You know, once again, this is in Florida, Fort Lauderdale, and you got police just recklessly arrest somebody, use force, push them. That's considered an assault. You know, the courts have given law enforcement the authority to use force when justified. That was not justified. If you ask me, when you go outside of the realms of law or policy procedures, you need to catch charges. That job is too insensitive, too important for you to be running around with an insecure ego and just abusing your authority. So when we have evidence like that, then you should be dealt with accordingly. I think your punishment should be a little harsh. It should be a lot more than the average person. The average person don't have the right to take freedom, take somebody's life, and actually get away with it. So that's just my personal views. You know, I try to keep it on 100 when I talk about policy, procedures, facts, and then I tell you when I'm telling you about my personal beliefs. And I believe personally, when you sign on for that job, because of the powers granted, when you abuse it, you should be treated with the utmost accountability.